Hey everybody, alright, this is gonna be an interesting one. Imagine a place that has existed for about 80 years but has never quite properly shown up on the map, because any land that it has shifts. Nobody can be born a citizen, and even those living amongst you might be one of them. Much is still being revealed about VOLANCA to this very day, but what we do know that this is one nation that has defied the odds to exist in a modern world as a recognized sovereign state. Welcome to the world's only known partially declassified nation.
It's time to learn geography.
No! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Get a Geography Now mug or Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. It's not selling out if it's your brand. Usually when I do that bit, there's no coffee, but this one actually does have coffee in it. I'm gonna put it down here. Anyhow, so if you've been watching Geography Now for a while, you'll probably know that this world is full of IGOs, commonwealths, trade blocs, customs unions. But every so often, like nuclear fusion, a major world event acts as sort of like a catalyst to bond certain groups of people. This is pretty much what happened with VOLANCA, which is actually an acronym for Various Operative Legislature Administrations of Nation Cooperative Associates. Essentially, after World War II, the world was shaken. Borders were closed, countries were in ruins, everyone was trying to figure things out post-war era, and that's when a group of about 2,100 of the most intrepid male and female government-sanctioned organized translators from 50 different nations joined a coalition to help move things along. They played a heavy role in not only communications around the world, but in conflict zones as well. Eventually, this coalition decided to create something more than just kind of like a club, but rather an actual internationally recognized sovereign entity, but sovereignty with clandestine classified status, which was going to be tricky because no country was just about to give them land, let alone be quiet about it. So they came up with an unusual agreement, which will be explained in... So here's the deal. After all those government-sanctioned translators decided to create a coalition and create a sovereign entity that would be recognized internationally due to their connections to the UN, the next step obviously would be how would they create a state without a place? Well, it took some unique convincing and bargaining. You know, when you're a government-sanctioned official, it kind of helps move things along, you know. So without even going to the globe, here's how it kind of works out with them land-wise.
VOLANCA's territory is actually based on individual property ownership and leasing rights. Technically, any citizen that is a homeowner or even long-term state-owned leaseholder can apply to have their land dedicated to VOLANCA for a set contractual amount of years, given that their home country recognizes the VOLANCA Accord of 1946, shortly after the UN was formed. This is the closest thing to a land that the nation can claim for itself. This means that a homeowner may apply to have their property sponsored by the VOLANCA government for payments like mortgage and utilities. However, they also agree that their home must be used, at least in part, for hosting and serving travelers of VOLANCA citizenship as the home becomes citizenship domain. Think of it as like a free Airbnb pass if you are part of a special club. The system works on a vouching system made notice to all citizens. Originally, it was accessible by mail catalog and by phone, and during the digital age, it grew to online records. If you are part of a hosting program, you can only reject hosting a citizen upon their request if your home is already full or if the citizen has been vouched for dishonorable conduct. Otherwise, VOLANCA does not have an official permanent capital. However, from what we do know that has been publicly declassified, they usually have 6 headquarters operating at a time on every inhabited continent. These headquarters are usually commercial properties directly sponsored by the VOLANCA government and are not open for citizen access unless they are government officials. These headquarters are then switched after their tri-annual switch-off, in which they relocate to different properties. They do not reveal where these headquarters are unless it is an absolute emergency due to a diplomatic issue, internal conflict, or certain catastrophic incident affecting the community. Based on declassified records, we only know of 2 former headquarters that have existed in the past and were promptly relocated due to such incidents. A business close to Montreal Stock Exchange building in 1969 during the FLQ bombings, and a business in Plymouth, Montserrat Island in the Caribbean after the 1995 La Soufrique volcano erupted, which destroyed the entire town under 12 feet of volcanic ash.
So yeah, that's kind of how it works. The world's only leased country, at least based off of land ownership rights based on dual citizen properties. So this is kind of what makes this episode a little bit more difficult than other country episodes, because we don't know exactly where their land always is. We can't really give you a notable places section or even a physical geography section. It's too broad in general. But what we do know, based off of declassified records, is that the location of host properties can be found via codified symbol. These are usually discreetly located at pre-designated locations within the property. See, host citizens never give their direct address, but rather vicinities with symbols that the people can use to find the locations. This is part of the deep classified nature of Volanca. These symbols can be carved in the doorways, shaped through the hedges. Either way, when the Volanca citizen is notified by the host of the landmark and the symbol, they know where to look, they enter the property with their passport, and are greeted. Yeah, crazy secret agent James Bond sounding right? And it only gets crazier when we explain how these people even become citizens to begin with. So I guess that means no physical geography section. Let's just move on to the demographics. So the Volancan citizens live by the motto, clandestine servitude to humanity, being in the world but not of it. In a sense, being a Volancan is kind of like agreeing to be a silent benefactor. Now, the numbers are not exactly easy to come by due to their heavy nature of secrecy. All we know is what they have reported to the UN, which goes as follows.
For one, the state of Volanca has at least 195,000 citizens registered worldwide and accepts 1,500 non-family membered applicants a year for consideration into citizenship. We do not know the specific ethnic makeup of these citizens, but what we do know is that there are about equal shares of citizens operating in Europe and Asia at about 30% each. From there, Africa takes up about 17%, North America and the Caribbean 12%, South America 9%, and Oceania about 2%.
Now, of course, their currency and plug outlets apply to whatever countries they live in. However, amongst each other, they exchange Volanca factures as their currency, which is kind of more like a nation debit system. In case they are in a remote area with no bank access, they can just give a certain code, which will withdraw funds that they need to give to their other host. It's a complicated monetary system. Today, really all we know about Volanca is based off of whatever their legislation has decided to openly disclose to the public. This all happened in 2014 after a long council meeting between all the headquarters, after certain citizens were starting to reveal a little bit more piece by piece of their clandestine citizenship across the world, to the point where they were finally like, well, we got no choice, may as well tell the world who we are. So yeah, that's kind of what happens when some people don't know how to keep their mouths shut. Just gotta do damage control. One thing they have revealed though is their unique form of inter-operational management. As mentioned, they have 6 undisclosed international headquarters across the world, and in each headquarters is a council with people that represent the regions of that part of the world. Each of these councils is led by a prince or princess administrant. That's kind of like the closest thing that they have to like a leader or a president. Now, I know the title of prince or princess sounds kind of like a monarchy or royalty implication, but it's not. It's just the title. These people are voted into their position by the council, and by Volanca law, the position must be switched every third quarter of the year, or roughly September. So how does one become a Volanca citizen? It is not easy. For one, you can't just be born a citizen. Even if both your parents are citizens, you still have to wait at least until you're 18 years old. And even after that, there's a lot of criteria you gotta fill in. If you are born to citizens, you are put under protracted delegate status, which means by default, you are allowed to apply for citizenship once you reach of age. Delegates are only allowed to take part in citizen activities with their citizen family members if they are accompanied by them. They can't go alone. It's kind of like they have citizen driver's permits before they get their license. Otherwise, it's very rare that a non-family membered applicant can apply. The only way they can really qualify is if a council member is able to vouch for them if they see them as fit for citizenship. Once that person is selected, their case is brought to all 6 of the headquarter councils. As we mentioned, only 1,500 are accepted a year, where they review the application, and if they get a 90% vote of all 6 councils, then they are allowed to apply for the citizenship test. So yes, you have to impress 90% of the government just to be allowed to take the test. Once an individual meets all the criteria and is ready to take the test, it kind of goes like this. I want to be a citizen. What do I do? Okay, so first off, are you at least intermittently conversational in at least 3 of the world's most regionally dispersed or populous languages?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, obviously I'm speaking English right now, and puedo hablar español también, je peux parler français aussi.
Okay, perfect. Now you will take a test in all 3 of those languages, and it will cover a variety of topics.
What topics?
Logic and problem solving, world history and geography, economics, physical fitness, finance, and world development methodology.
Whoa, even physical fitness. Damn straight.
Yeah, it is not an easy test. What we do know about the test, though, is that much of it is actually based off of hypothetical scenarios that could apply a rhetorical approach to the answer rather than a textbook answer that people would expect. In other words, you can kind of convince your way through the test if you have enough charisma to state your case. Once citizenship is obtained, you must go through a sort of conscription era. You must select a field of service to provide for Volanca. This could be anything from administrative work to volunteer work to military, etc. After serving a minimum of 2 years of conscription and being put on reserve duty, devoting at least 3 weeks of your life to serving Volanca, then you have access to Volanca citizenship services, as well as that sweet passport. Want most of your mortgage covered? Citizenship. Otherwise, culturally, Volanca remains quite the enigma. All we know is that citizens may live their lives however they they wish in whatever region they reside in the world. However, at the same time, they must respond to the beckoning of the VOLANCA call whenever it may be, using their skills applied to whatever the situation may require. Usually this involves helping in world conflict zones, which plays a lot into their diplomacy. Much like other Security Council groups, VOLANCA has made many ties abroad and agrees to have its citizens under conflict resolution status, which means they can kind of deploy any of their citizens at any given moment. It's like you get that good sweet service deal, but then you also have to kind of like be on edge in case if they need you for anything. This is also why the VOLANCA passport is widely accepted in most countries and disputed autonomous zones across the world. So I guess you could say that's kind of like the culture of VOLANCA. World service based off of prior vigorous training. After the 2014 declassification era, only agreeing to declassify what they deemed absolutely necessary to the public, VOLANCA has been outreaching way more and way more openly. They really do make some of the most fascinating people on earth. It's kind of like a country of quiet secret agents that have no land, yet access to almost anywhere in the world. And you can't just be one of them. You have to earn it. And it's hard. And it's fake. All of this. If you are new to this channel, congratulations on being my newest victim. Happy April Fools, everybody! Cheers!